Commissioner Kathy Engelbert had one job: show up to the WNBA finals and represent the league. But when she walked into a half-empty arena with barely 150 fans in the stands, she didn't stay long. Reports say she dipped out early, and suddenly her quiet exit became the loudest statement of the night. This was the finals. The Las Vegas Aces were going head-to-head with the Phoenix Mercury.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Two legacy franchises, major names on the court. A'ja Wilson, still at the top of her game, and Dana Bonner, the veteran voice pushing for respect and attention. Yet somehow, the energy was gone. Not just low, absent. Cheap tickets couldn't even lure casual fans. And instead of excitement, the finals were met with awkward silence and uncomfortable questions about what exactly went wrong. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Not after a regular season that saw sold-out arenas and social media erupting with every move Caitlin Clark made. She wasn't just a rookie, she was a one-woman PR machine for the league. But when Clark didn't make it to the finals, neither did the audience. No highlights going viral, no ESPN segments, no cultural relevance. Without her, the WNBA felt like it had flatlined, and everyone felt it. Dana Bonner sure did. Her post-game comments weren't just about the fans. They were a direct call-out of the league's failure to keep the momentum alive. And Wilson, ever the professional, let her silence speak volumes. The frustration wasn't about losing a game. It was about showing up and realizing the league didn't deliver on the promise it sold all year. This wasn't a scheduling issue or a marketing fluke. It was a system collapse. For all the progress made during the season, the finals proved how shaky the foundation still is. The WNBA leaned hard into Clark's superstardom, but never backed it up with a broader narrative. The second she wasn't part of the playoffs, everything else lost oxygen. The league didn't just fail to capitalize on her popularity. They exposed how little else was driving engagement. So yes, Commissioner Engelbert walked out. And while she hasn't said a word about it, she didn't need to. The optics said it all. The final stage of the season, and barely anyone showed up. Not even the league's own leadership stayed to watch it end. What should have been a celebration turned into a wake, and the silence inside that arena might have been the loudest red flag yet. The WNBA Finals should have been a slam dunk for the league, a powerful statement about the evolution of women's basketball, its stars, and its rising cultural relevance. Instead, it turned into a viral embarrassment. Headlines weren't celebrating epic buzzer beaters or dynastic legacies. They were calling out the ghost town of an arena, with one story grabbing all the attention. The commissioner walking out after seeing just 150 fans in attendance. Yes, 150 fans. That's not a typo. That's a wake-up call. It's one thing for a low-seeded mid-season game to struggle with attendance. But the finals? The championship round? That's supposed to be the payoff. The crescendo. But what we got was silence, both literal and metaphorical. A sea of empty seats, $30 tickets going unclaimed, and the haunting absence of any energy that could be mistaken for playoff atmosphere. And no, this isn't just about one bad night. It's about what that night exposed, a league in crisis. The WNBA spent all season riding the high of rising visibility. Caitlin Clark dominated headlines. She brought new fans, sold out arenas, and pushed the league into the mainstream sports conversation. She was a marketing dream. But the moment she didn't make it to the finals, the entire operation felt like it flatlined. And that's the problem. When one person is carrying the league's entire visibility on their back, it's not growth, it's dependency. The finals exposed that dependency in the most brutal way possible. No Clark, no buzz. No viral clips, no casual viewers. No narrative, no urgency. Just two elite teams, Las Vegas Aces and Phoenix Mercury, playing their hearts out in front of an eerily quiet crowd. A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner gave everything. They're not new names. They're not short on accolades. Wilson is one of the most dominant athletes in the league. Bonner is a veteran who's seen it all. And yet, their presence couldn't spark interest. Their skill couldn't draw media. Their passion couldn't fill the seats. The frustration from both was real and visible. Wilson's comments were subdued, but the weight behind her words was undeniable. She knows how much effort goes into every possession, every season, every playoff run. And to do it all in front of a fraction of the fans she deserves. It's demoralizing. Bonner didn't hold back either. Her statements were direct, emotional, and grounded in truth. She called out the disrespect, the apathy, the lack of energy. It wasn't just venting. It was a plea, and it resonated, not just because of what they said, but because of how clearly the league failed to support them. There was no buzz, no media coverage, no widespread campaign to rally viewers. National broadcasts gave it a passing mention, if anything. Social media, which had been on fire during the Clark-led regular season, was now silent. No trending hashtags, no player clips going viral, no can't-miss moments, just dead air. This wasn't just a marketing miss. It was a complete collapse of the league's promotional infrastructure. You can't push a product for months, make fans believe it's finally breaking through, then drop the ball during the most important moment of the year. And let's not forget the economics. During the regular season, some ticket prices soared. Demand was high. Interest was real. Fans were paying hundreds to see the spectacle. But once that spectacle disappeared, once Clark wasn't in the picture, ticket prices crashed. Floor seats for the finals were selling for $30. And still, people didn't show up. That's not a pricing strategy. That's a red flag. A clear disconnect between the league's valuation of its own product and the public's willingness to engage. Fans weren't sold, and the league couldn't give them a reason to care. Which leads to the deeper issue, narrative failure. The WNBA tried to sell this finals as a battle of historic franchises. It leaned into legacies, championship resumes, and respected names. But there was no spark, no drama, no villain, no hook. The storytelling just wasn't strong enough to draw casuals or even hold the attention of regular fans. Without a compelling storyline, even the best matchups fade into the background. And that's exactly what happened. This wasn't just a failure of marketing. It was a failure of connection. The league has spent years trying to build a broader fan base, but hasn't invested in the emotional storytelling that sports thrive on. And when the one player who was connecting with fans didn't make it to the finals, it became painfully clear that no one else had been given the same spotlight. And here's where it starts to really sting. The players notice. They're not stupid. They see the engagement drop off. They feel the energy shift. They hear the silence where cheers should be. And it takes a toll. You train all year. You make the playoffs. You make the finals. And what you walk into is a near-empty arena and a commissioner who walks out before halftime. That's not just disappointing. It's disrespectful. Kathy Engelbert walking out of the game said more than any press release ever could. It sent a message that even league leadership couldn't stomach the optics. It's one thing when fans are absent. It's another when the person tasked with building the league's future bails on the biggest night of the year. How are players supposed to stay motivated when it feels like no one is fighting for them? And then there's the media silence. During the regular season, every game Clark played felt like a nationally televised event. It didn't matter who the opponent was, people watched. Clips went viral. Coverage was wall-to-wall. But now, with championships on the line, crickets. That shift was so stark it was jarring. And it proved a harsh truth. The league hasn't figured out how to maintain fan interest beyond one viral star. The infrastructure to support long-term engagement simply isn't there. Community support is dwindling too. The grassroots energy that once helped the WNBA thrive feels distant. Without sustained local outreach, consistent community presence, and smarter regional marketing, the fan base thins out. People stop showing up because they don't feel connected. And when the connection goes, the culture goes with it. So now the league sits at a crossroads. One direction continues this path. Occasional bursts of excitement tied to one or two star players, followed by long droughts of disengagement. The other direction? That's where the real work happens. That's where the WNBA actually builds. It builds new stars. It invests in storytelling that spans more than highlight reels. It crafts narratives fans can get attached to, rivalries, personalities, drama, stakes. It builds a pricing structure that makes games accessible but not undervalued. It listens to players, centers their voices, and ensures they aren't left begging for respect during championship games. Because what we just witnessed, that was the sound of a league losing its grip on momentum. The finals are supposed to be a celebration. Instead, they became a case study in everything going wrong. Poor attendance, silent media, disheartened players, and a commissioner who couldn't bear to sit through it. The WNBA can't afford another finals like this. Not next year. Not ever again. It's time to get serious. If you're watching all this unfold and wondering where it all went sideways, you're not alone. What do you think is the most urgent fix? Is it pricing, marketing, media presence, or something deeper in the league's culture? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of sports chaos, media flops, and every celebrity meltdown that's just too wild to ignore, make sure to subscribe. This ride, we're just getting started. Because what just happened at the WNBA Finals wasn't a one-off embarrassment. It was a warning shot. A flashing neon sign that everything under the surface is broken, and the cracks aren't just showing, they're spreading. You can't fake hype. You can't engineer energy. You either build a product that people care about, or you watch it fall apart when the spotlight moves. And that's exactly what happened when Caitlin Clark's season ended early. All the noise, gone. The viewers, gone. The social engagement, completely vanished. All that was left were two teams playing for a championship in front of an audience that could barely fill the lower bowl. And let's be real, this isn't about blaming fans. This is about a league that banked everything on one breakout star instead of building up the rest of its foundation. The moment Clark was eliminated, there was no contingency plan. No next woman up marketing push. No coordinated campaign to pivot attention to the finals. Just silence. It's easy to get caught up in the highs when a star like Clark brings in millions of new eyes. But what the league failed to realize is that true engagement isn't about one player. It's about giving fans reasons to stay, building up rivalries, highlighting personalities, making every game matter in a way that sticks with people. A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner should be household names. They've put in the work. They've built legacies. They've carried the league through eras where coverage was even thinner than it is now. And yet, here they are in 2025, frustrated, underappreciated, and left to carry the emotional weight of a failing system. And the worst part? They had to do it in real time, under the harsh lights of a finals that no one was watching. A'ja Wilson's quiet frustration was louder than any outburst could have been. Her post-game comments weren't angry. They were disappointed. And that's worse. Disappointment hits deeper. It says, I expected more. I deserved more. And she did. Every player on that court did. Dana Bonner was even more direct. She called out the empty seats, the dead crowd energy, and the lack of respect. And people listened, not because it was controversial, but because it was true. These women were playing the highest level of professional basketball, and they were doing it in a void. That's not just a marketing failure. It's an existential one. And the league's leadership? Radio silence. Or worse, that now infamous walkout by Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Let's talk about that moment. You're the head of a professional sports league. Your biggest game of the year is happening. And you look around, see the turnout, and leave. What message does that send to your players? To the fans? To everyone watching the meltdown unfold? It doesn't matter how bad the optics are. Leadership means standing in it, owning it, being present when things fall apart. Walking out says, I don't want to be associated with this. And that's a sentiment a lot of people are feeling right now. But coming from the commissioner, that's next level disastrous. It didn't just undermine the players. It made the league look unstable. If the person at the top won't back the product, why should anyone else? And still, the silence continues. No major press push. No bold pivot. Just quiet damage control and the hope that people will forget by next season. But fans don't forget. Players definitely don't forget. This finals disaster is going to live rent-free in the heads of everyone who cares about women's basketball. It's going to be the benchmark for what not to do. And the scary part? It didn't have to be this way. The league had everything it needed to create a compelling finals. Star power, legacy franchises, high-stakes matchups. But they failed to capitalize on any of it. Instead of pushing rivalries, they leaned on generic storylines. Instead of personalizing the athletes, they recycled the same bland promos. Instead of owning the absence of Caitlin Clark and using it as a launch pad to elevate others, they avoided the topic altogether. And fans noticed, because this generation of sports fans is media literate. They know when they're being fed a surface-level narrative. They know when the hype is real and when it's manufactured. And when they see a finals game that feels like an afterthought, they treat it like one. So the question now becomes, where does the WNBA go from here? Because continuing down this road isn't an option. You can't have a high-attention regular season followed by a finals that feels like a preseason scrimmage. You can't have record-breaking rookie buzz followed by championship games that barely trend online. The contrast is too sharp. The fall-off is too severe. And the league's credibility is on the line. If the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, it has to start taking itself seriously. That means treating every round of the playoffs like a must-watch event, elevating all of its stars, not just the trending ones, pricing tickets based on value, not panic, creating content that connects emotionally, not just visually, owning the moments that fall short instead of running from them. Because let's be real, the WNBA isn't short on talent. It's short on execution. The athletes are elite. The passion is real. The product can compete. But none of that matters if the league doesn't build a platform that actually supports it. And support doesn't mean a viral post once a week. It means strategic storytelling, long-term investment, real community engagement, not just during high-profile games, but every single week. Otherwise, the finals become exactly what we just witnessed, a hollow reminder of everything that could have been. And if that doesn't shake the league to its core, what will? Because this isn't just about this year's finals. It's about the future. It's about whether young girls watching at home see something worth dreaming about. It's about whether new fans coming in for the first time feel something powerful or walk away confused by the silence and the empty seats. The WNBA has always had an uphill climb, but the moment it starts falling backward, the work gets even harder. And right now, it's not climbing. It's slipping. No more hiding behind surface metrics. No more hoping a star will save the season. The league has to get serious about building. That means investing in its own identity, elevating more voices, creating urgency and emotional stakes that make people care even when the obvious headline isn't in the spotlight. Otherwise, this finals becomes a warning sign no one heeded. And by the time next season rolls around, there might not be enough momentum left to fix what's broken. So here's your moment, WNBA. Take the loss. Learn from it. Do better. Because players like A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner deserve better. Fans who showed up deserve better. And women's basketball as a whole deserves way more than what this finals delivered. We'll be watching closely. And if you're still here, it's your turn. What do you think went wrong with this year's finals? Was it the marketing? The media silence? The leadership? Drop your thoughts below. We want to hear from real fans. And hit subscribe if you're into peeling back the layers on sports disasters, media meltdowns, and everything that goes off the rails when the cameras are rolling. Because we're not letting this one slide. Not now. Not ever. This finals flop wasn't just a quiet night in sports. It was a loud indictment of how disconnected the WNBA has become from its own audience. And if the league doesn't treat this as a full-blown crisis, then it's already waving the white flag. Because here's what happens next. The off-season comes and goes. The league does what it always does, drops a few promos, tweets a few graphics, leans back on whatever star is trending. But when next year's finals roll around, the same script plays out. The arena's half full. The atmosphere's flat. The buzz is nowhere to be found. And the cycle continues. That's what this finals really revealed. A league stuck in a loop of short-term hype with no long-term game plan. A'ja Wilson, Dana Bonner. These women have been holding the league up with their performance, their charisma, their leadership. And they shouldn't have to carry everything. Especially not the emotional fallout of being ignored on the biggest stage. Wilson didn't need to yell. Her silence said everything. The lack of noise around her, that was the real scandal. Bonner had to speak out just to get people to acknowledge the elephant in the room. that this league has a respect problem and it's starting to rot from the inside. And the fans who did show up, they deserve a medal because they saw what was happening in real time. The way the energy was off, the way the league didn't rise to the moment. They were there not because of hype, but in spite of its absence. The fact that we're talking about $30 finals tickets and still seeing empty rows, that's not accessibility. That's desperation. It's a signal that the product isn't being positioned properly and the fans don't feel connected. Because if they did, those seats would have been gone no matter the price. Let's be clear, this wasn't about a lack of talent. It was a lack of storytelling, a lack of leadership, a lack of vision. The players brought the game. The league didn't bring the audience. And that failure isn't on one person, it's systemic. It's been building for years. The warning signs were there. The over-reliance on 1 or 2 stars. The inconsistent media push. The failure to turn moments into momentum. Now it's all out in the open, on full display. And the message is clear. Something has to change. So here's your final buzzer-beater question. Will the WNBA learn from this? Or will it walk into next season with the same broken playbook? If you got thoughts, we want to hear them. Drop your take in the comments. What's the first thing the league needs to fix? Don't hold back. And if you want more brutally honest breakdowns of media misfires, celebrity chaos, and sports PR disasters that spiral into full-blown fiascos, make sure to subscribe. Because this meltdown, it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the conversation.